Welcome back to the Hello World guy. In this video we are going to work more on the enemy AI, so let's quickly get started. Alright guys, so here I have got my Unity project and I'm actually trying out a new style of tutorials in which I will do everything beforehand, and then in the actual tutorial I will only show you the things that have changed and then explain them along the way. So if you like this style of tutorial, let me know in the comments, or else we will just continue with the old style from the next video. So I have of course done everything already now, and the first thing you notice is that I have made my ground plane just a little bit bigger, and it's now 30 by 30 instead of 20 by 20, and I have added a couple of obstacles around the map which you can do pretty easily. And yeah, so these obstacles are basically going to be a challenge for our enemy to overcome when he's chasing it around. The next thing you notice is that I have made the enemy a capsule instead of a cube, and I also encourage you to do the same. So if I select my enemy object, you can see we have got a capsule collider on him, even though he's a cylinder. But there is no cylinder collider. You can use a mesh collider with a custom mesh, but that's a bit too heavy on memory and processing power, so I really don't encourage you to do that. We only need an approximation here, so a capsule collider should work. And just adjust it to your preferred settings. I have made the radius a little larger than the actual capsule because we don't want the player to be able to have his gun go through him or anything of that sort. So the other thing is that we have got this NavMesh agent component. Now we'll talk about that a little later. So one thing we have got here, if I go under window, AI and navigation, this is basically the navigation panel. Now this allows us to set up a NavMesh, which is basically Unity system for making objects find paths to other objects. It only works in 3D currently, but yeah, it's pretty good. So what you can do is basically what you need to do in order to set it up is select all of the objects that are a part of your level. So this includes this, and oh, and one thing you probably notice is that sometimes the canvas gets in way of selecting stuff. So if it's annoying you, then what you need to do is just select the canvas, and then you can click on this right icon next to it, and that should prevent it from ever being selected. So now you can select everything freely. Now you need to select all of the objects that make up your level, including all of the obstacles and stuff, and then you need to go under the navigation tab and make them navigation static. Also make sure they are walkable. And that's pretty much it. Now of course you should not move any of these objects in game, they are static now. Then go to this bake tab, and now here you need to select your agent settings, which basically determine the radius and the height of your agent, along with how much slope it can walk on. So how if something is slanted, how many degrees it needs to be before the agent cannot walk on it. And then you've got the step height, which determines how high an object basically if a wall is equal or less than the step height, then the enemy will go over it like it's a step of stairs or something. So yeah, these are the settings, and the settings that I have chosen here: 0.5 for the agent radius, for the height 2, are basically best for a default scaled cylinder. These are cylinders, that's the reason I encourage you to use cylinders here. And you can also adjust the max slope and step height to whatever you like. And if I go under we got these areas here, we don't need to concern ourselves with that. If I go under agents tab here, you just need to make sure that the humanoid agent has the same settings, because this will be used as a template for the actual agent component. Then you need to select your enemy object, and then you can see I have added this NavMesh agent component. Now of course this has got a this has basically like it contains a bunch of settings. You can adjust these individually or use a template here. As you can see, I'm using the humanoid template, and then you can change it in here as well. And make sure that you can see that if I turn off this capsule collider, there is another collider like thing here. This is not actually a collider. So if you change the base offset of this, then you can see it moves up and down. By default it is 0, which causes it to be like this because it starts at the center. Just change that to 1, and that should help. If your object is scaled differently, then you might need to change it to your preferences, whatever you like. I need to turn on the capsule collider now. Now in this NavMesh agent, we have got a bunch of settings for the speed of this and acceleration and stuff. So I have just set the acceleration to 16 while setting the speed to 6. Also set this stopping distance to some value, because if you don't, then the enemy will literally try to push you off the map. So just set it to a reasonable value. You can set it to 1 if you want the enemy to get real close, but I'm just going to set it tree so that the enemy stops at a good distance. Okay, and we have got our speed here as well, and you can adjust the speed and acceleration and everything to your preferences. And of course, we have got the settings, the radius and the height. We can adjust them individually for this. Now that's pretty good, but what I'm going to do now is actually program the behavior. So if you open up Visual Studio, you can see in this anime script I have only added 2 lines of code actually. Of course, I am using the Unity Engine.ai namespace now. So just use that namespace, and here now you can access this NavMesh agent component. So get that component and then set its destination variable to the player.transform.position variable. And we are only doing that if the player has been seen already, which we are setting here when we are actually detecting the player. And this needs to be done every frame so that the NavMesh agent is updated with the latest position of the object. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all the code we need. 2 lines, that's it. And the settings are easy, and I set the field of view for my enemy to be 90, which is, remember, we programmed this in the last video. And just make sure that your objects are navigation setting and everything is set up correctly. So now I can show you what it looks like, but for that I'm going to go under 2x3 view actually, and you can see now we have got a scene view and a game view side by side. So what I'm going to do is actually click on this Y here, which will get me to the top view, and then I'm going to click on here to get me to orthographic view, which means that everything is now flat. So I'm going to use the middle mouse button to move here, and now we can get a top view of everything while as we play. So if I hit play, you can see I can see as my player is turning around and stuff, and I can see everything perfectly. So if I go in front of this enemy, then what should happen is that he starts chasing me, and as you can see he's chasing me pretty well, and he's also just he's really just following me basically. But you can also see that he's avoiding the obstacles perfectly, and he's a bit too fast right now, but he's avoiding the obstacles perfectly, and he's chasing us in the best possible manner. He's finding the shortest path towards the player and then following that path. He's not wasting time on taking long paths. So this is a really well engineered system in Unity, and I really like it. So one thing you notice is that this kind of slow when he turns towards us, and you can see he stops at a reasonable distance as well, but he's kind of slow when turning. He kind of starts to move backwards instead of turning quickly. So what you need to do in order to fix that is just go in the hierarchy and select the enemy, and then just change the angular speed to be something higher, like 500. Okay, and if you do that, then now the enemy should, you can see that even if I go behind him, then he doesn't take a lot of time to actually find the new direction and turn towards me. So yeah, that's basically it for this video, and I know it was a short video, but let me know in the comment if you like this style of tutorials. And now you can see that we have got a working system for pathfinding. So in the next video we can start adding some more things, and I will see you in the next video, and bye.